How can something profoundly real give structure, order, and meaning while never appearing directly? This question challenges one of the most basic assumptions of modern thinking. We are trained to equate reality with visibility. What can be seen, measured, quantified, and displayed is considered real. What does not appear directly is often treated as secondary, abstract, or even imaginary. Yet this assumption quietly collapses when examined carefully. Many of the most powerful forces shaping human life do not appear at all. Attention organizes experience without becoming visible, meaning structures understanding without occupying space. Motivation drives behavior without presenting itself as an object. Coherence holds systems together without announcing its presence. This requires a crucial distinction. There is what appears on the surface: events, outcomes, objects, and there are depth structures, the conditions that make appearance possible in the first place. Ibn Arabi argues that the deepest reality gives continuously without appearing, because the moment it appears, it would be reduced to a surface object and lose its generative function. Modern psychological life is increasingly shaped by visibility. Stress, anxiety, and disorientation are often tied to constant focus on outcomes, appearances, and performance. People measure progress through metrics, productivity, and external validation. What cannot be displayed or quantified feels irrelevant in cognitive science. This pattern is linked to salience bias, the tendency to prioritize what is immediate, visible, and measurable while neglecting background processes. Attention is drawn toward feedback that is explicit and fast, even when it is superficial, behaviorally. This leads to self-worth being evaluated through results rather than stability. Neuroscience explains why this pattern is so compelling. Dopaminergic reward systems are tuned to visible feedback: likes, achievements, confirmation, while deeper regulatory systems operate quietly in the background. The result is a structural blind spot. What sustains psychological balance, cognitive coherence, and emotional regulation is often ignored, precisely because it does not announce itself. Ibn Arabi reframes this problem by identifying depth, not as the opposite of appearance, but as the unseen source that makes all appearance possible. Ibn Arabi is often mischaracterized as a symbolic, mystic, or poetic theologian. In fact, he was a philosopher of being concerned with structure, causation, and intelligibility. His work repeatedly distinguishes between what appears and what enables appearance. At the center of this framework is the distinction between zahir, the manifest or visible dimension of reality, and batin, the hidden or inward depth. Importantly, depth is not hidden in the sense of being concealed behind appearance. It is hidden because it functions as the condition of appearance itself. The key premise is precise. Depth gives without becoming visible, because visibility belongs to surface manifestation. If depth appeared directly, it would no longer function as depth. It would become one object among others. Modern frameworks often prioritize what can be observed. Ibn Arabi prioritizes what generates for him. Reality is sustained not by what is displayed, but by what silently enables. The first core teaching follows directly from this distinction. Depth is defined by what it enables, not by what it displays. What truly gives does not announce itself. A clear real-world illustration is the human nervous system. The autonomic nervous system regulates heart rate, digestion, breathing, and stress responses without conscious awareness. You do not see it working. You are rarely aware of it. functioning, yet without it, life collapses within minutes. From a neuroscientific perspective, autonomic regulation operates continuously and invisibly, maintaining equilibrium, while conscious attention is directed elsewhere. The most essential processes are the least visible. A common misconception arises here. Power is often mistaken for visibility. Loudness, dominance, and display are confused with causal significance. In reality, power is structural. What appears depends entirely on what never appears. The insight Ibn Arabi offers is not metaphorical, it is ontological. Appearance is downstream, depth is upstream. What functions most fully leaves the smallest. Trace, the second teaching, explains why depth cannot be observed in the same way surface phenomena can. The key distinction here is between observation and the condition of observation. Depth is not one object among others that can be perceived. It is the condition that allows perception to occur at all. Ibn Arabi insists that depth cannot become an object without ceasing to function as depth. Cognitive science provides a useful analogy. Attention cannot fully observe itself while operating. The moment attention turns toward itself, its structure changes. Similarly, you cannot see the lens through which you are seeing. Neuroscience meta-awareness alters the process. It attempts to observe. Monitoring changes the system. This is not a failure of observation. It is a structural limitation. Depth withdraws, not because it is absent, but because it is foundational. It is present as condition, not as content. Trying to observe depth directly collapses it into surface representation. The third teaching clarifies how depth gives without appearing. Ibn Arabi describes depth as continuously generative. It gives form, coherence, and continuity without representation. Modern cognitive science offers a direct parallel through background processing. Many mental operations, pattern recognition, motor coordination, emotional regulation occur without entering conscious awareness. Conscious thought depends on these processes, but does not perceive them psychologically. Emotional regulation functions in the same way. Stable effect is maintained by unseen regulatory mechanisms. When these systems work well, they remain unnoticed. When they fail, their absence becomes obvious. This leads to a crucial clarification. Absence of appearance does not mean absence of effect. In fact, the more essential a process is, the less it needs to appear. The insight here is counterintuitive but precise. What gives most fully leaves the smallest. Trace, depth sustains without display. Its generosity is silent. Ibn Arabi extends this logic to theology with strict consistency. Divine reality, in his framework, is the deepest source of all manifestation. God is not an object within appearance. God is the source from which appearance arises. Conceptually, this means divine reality gives existence without appearing. As a thing among things, to appear would be to enter the domain of limitation. A modern parallel can be found in systems theory. Source code governs the behavior of software without appearing on the user interface. The interface displays outcomes, not origins. Psychologically, this has an important implication. When depth is sought as an object, something to be seen, grasped, or possessed, frustration follows. Depth is encountered through its effects, not through visibility. The deepest reality is not something you look at. It is what allows looking to occur at all. This brings us to a broader paradox. What is most causally powerful is often least perceptually obvious. Complex systems exhibit causal opacity. The true drivers of behavior are not immediately visible from outcomes alone. Ibn Arabi. Subtle claim is that appearance distracts from origin. When attention fixates on what shows itself, the source is forgotten. A misconception must be corrected. Here, depth is not hidden behind appearance as if it were concealed. Depth is expressed through appearance. It is not elsewhere. It is structurally present as what enables. The key insight is this. Seeking depth directly collapses it into surface. Depth can only be related to indirectly through alignment, not observation. This framework has practical implications for modern life. The first shift is cognitive. Invisible processes must be valued more than visible outcomes. Stability, regulation, and coherence deserve more attention than performance metrics. Psychologically, this means trusting regulatory systems rather than micromanaging results. Over-control often disrupts processes that function best when left unseen. Emotionally, anxiety decreases when control is not tied to visibility. Neuroscience shows that allowing autonomic systems to operate without interference improves physiological and psychological stability. Ibn Arabi's practical outcome is precise. Life becomes oriented toward what sustains rather than what appears. Alignment replaces display. Trust replaces constant monitoring. The central conclusion is clear. Depth gives continuously without appearing. What sustains reality cannot be reduced to what is seen. Ibn Arabi's lasting contribution is a philosophy in which power belongs to structure, not display. The most essential realities do not announce themselves because they do not need to. Appearance comes and goes. Depth remains, giving without announcing itself.